This is the Yongnuo YN-360 light wand. Let's get it. So at first glance, this is not your typical video light. I mean, look at it. It's just really long, narrow. It's just not the same video light as you see out in the market today where they're just like nice and square and can fit on top of your camera. But this thing does pack a lot of punches. I mean, this thing is portable. It's lightweight and it has a lot of features on it. I mean, one of the main features that I love about this is that it is a bi-color light and it's tunable too. So you can go from 5500 Kelvin to 3200 Kelvin and everything in between, which is amazing. Now, if you wanted to, this thing also has RGB. So if you want red lighting, if you want green lighting, or if you want blue lighting, you can definitely have that as well. And what's cool about it is that you can adjust these values similar to how a TV replicates color by just changing the different values of RGB. You can do that here to replicate, I don't know, let's just say magenta. Or if you want to just do a teal. I mean, it's really limitless to what you can make with these RGB values. So that's why I love this light, because you can do so many different colors and it can just really unlock the creative mind when you are creating different types of content. Now, for the technical specs of this, the light here has a CRI rating, or a color rendering index rating, of 95. Now, what that means is that this has a high rating when it comes to reproducing color when you're actually lighting an object. So if you were to film a red apple, the color of that apple is red and you want that to show up well in the camera and you want it to show well still when you're shining a light on top of it. Now, if a light like this had a bad CRI rating, then you're gonna get some kind of discolored apple that's gonna have tints of green or tints of magenta in it or tints of blue. I mean, it's just not gonna look red when you're shining a light upon it. So having a CRI rating of 95 is actually really good. Talking about the brightness, the total brightness of this light, and in terms of lumens, this thing is rated at 2,560 lumens. Now, to give you guys a comparison, a standard light bulb is about 100 lumens. Or a car headlight is rated at 1,000 lumens. So theoretically, this thing is 2.5 times more powerful than a car headlight. I wouldn't say that that is to be true when you are using this light. I don't want you guys to think that this has a very bright light all the time. The issue with that is because with all these LEDs that you see on here, they are divided up between 5500 Kelvin and 3200 Kelvin lights. So at any given time, if you're ever using the daylight balance lighting or the tungsten lighting, you're only really utilizing half of the amount of LEDs here. So if you wanted to use this as maximum brightness, you'd have to turn up both the 5500 Kelvin lights, the 3200 Kelvin lights, and that's where you get a light that is ridiculously bright. Now, I think the color temp for this one is about 4400 Kelvin, around. But I don't really think it's practical to be using this light at its maximum brightness unless your scene is just very dark and you just gotta light it up. To power this guy up, you can definitely use a Sony L-series battery. This is an NPF battery. Now, this thing is a little bulky, as you can see right here, but it does the job and it will last you around 2 hours of continuous lighting. I mean, I've never actually had to replace a light on these wands. I mean, I've used it pretty sparingly, but whenever I needed these for a wedding shoot at nighttime or just some product photography or some product shoots, this thing has definitely been a workhorse for me. If you guys are needing some more consistent light and you guys are leaving it on throughout the day, I would definitely use the AC adapter that's on the front here and just have it plugged into a wall. I mean, you are losing some portability, but you're gonna have a nice consistent lighting for as long as you want to. So you might be wondering what this orange piece of plastic is on the back. Well, this is actually a CTO filter, and what that is just a color temp orange filter, and they usually put these on lights to just give a quick conversion into tungsten lighting. So if I had this on at 5500K, so daylight, if I just take this, which is actually attached magnetically, which I think is awesome, if you go ahead and just throw this on the front, you have tungsten lighting. Which I'm not exactly quite sure why they did that, because you already have a filter for tungsten already. So I'm not exactly sure why they would add an additional filter. But I can only imagine that, you know, if you're at full brightness, both on 3200K and 5500K, you just want to have a quick tungsten lighting. I mean, this could be a reason why, but what I really feel like they could have hit the nail on the head on is just having this cover be a diffuser. Because then you'd be able to diffuse the light on the front and just have a nice soft light. But right now it's not, so I don't use it. I really don't. So I did notice that this thing does have Bluetooth connectivity, which I found to be amazing because I wanted to be able to control this light wirelessly through an app on my phone. The only issue is that there's no official app from Yongnuo that will allow you to change anything about this light in an easy fashion. I had to find a third-party app to let me do so. I was able to find one, and I mean, I think it's great. I mean, this thing allows you to change the intensity of the light. If I wanted to go down to 62%, if I wanted to go all the way down to 0, I can do that. If I wanted to change the color temp, if I even wanted to change the color, I can do it with just the press of a button. And what's cool, it has a color wheel, so I can change to a different hue or a different saturation on the light itself through the app. Now, where this app falls short and why I was disappointed was the fact that I have two of these lights, the one right here and the one right behind me. I can't control them both at the same time, or I can't even control them both separately. If I wanted to be able to have control of these lights and not have to go and touch them physically, I can only control one wirelessly. So hopefully with an update or something with this, I can be able to control both at the same time. But until then, I mean, this is really only good for one light. So why get a light like this? I mean, this is a very budget-friendly light. I mean, you can pick this up on B&H Photo for about $84 right now. I mean, I left a link in the description below if you want to go ahead and check it out. But this is everything that you need in one: a bicolor, tunable, dimmable light. This thing has RGB, it's wireless. I mean, it even has a quarter 20 on the back of it. So if you wanted to, I mean, you could attach it to a magic arm like this, and then attach the magic arm to a table. And boom, a desk lamp. You can have this essentially be a backlight, and you don't need like a tripod or a C-stand, a heavy C-stand on the back to even use this light. I can just have this be here and not have to worry about it. Now, I would not really use this as a key light, only because it is a very harsh light and there's no diffusion. So if you were to do this, I mean, if this is just like the only light that you have and you needed to have this as a key light, I would definitely have a piece of diffusion. So I would pick up one of these diffusion panels and just have it right be in the back here, because then you get some nice soft light instead of something really harsh. Ugh. If you don't want to use it as a key light, or if you just should not use it as a key light, then you can always use it as a backlight or a hair light. You can have it just be in the background for some ambient lighting. Like I said, these things can change colors. I mean, if I wanted to, I can go ahead and just have a red background behind me. Boom, purple background. And for photographers, I mean, this is a perfect tool for if you want to do long exposure photography. Now, if you're not any of that, if you're not a photographer or a videographer, I mean, I guess this makes for a good flashlight. Or a lightsaber?